This started about 3 weeks ago. I worked the night shift at a regional hospital just outside St. Louis. It's an old place, built in the 50s, expanded in the 80s, but half of it is practically abandoned. The 4th floor, especially. They shut it down years ago after budget cuts and mold problems, so now it's just locked doors and dark hallways. No staff, no patients, nothing. At least, that's what I thought. My usual route takes me through the east corridor on the 3rd floor. There's a long vertical window at the far end, and if you look up at just the right angle, you can see part of the 4th floor window directly above. That's where I first saw him. A man, just standing there, motionless, his face half lit by the hallway light behind him. Thin, too thin. Shoulders hunched forward like they were holding something invisible. At first, I thought it was a reflection. But then, he moved, just slightly, like he was turning to look at me. I froze. It was late. I was sleep-deprived. I told myself it was nothing. I even laughed it off in the break room. Said something like, "Looks like our haunted floor's got a mascot now." But that wasn't the last time I saw him. 3 nights later, I saw him again. Same place. Same window on the 4th floor. But this time, he was closer to the glass. His face, it was pale. Paper white. Like it hadn't seen daylight in years. The overhead light behind him flickered, and for a second, it looked like his mouth was moving. I leaned forward, squinting through the 3rd floor window, trying to see clearer. That's when the light above him went out completely. Just snap. Blackness. I stepped back fast. My chest tightened like someone had dropped ice down my spine. I didn't realize how hard I was gripping the cart until my knuckles started aching. I told myself again. Maybe it was a leftover reflection. Maybe someone was doing maintenance. But no one's assigned to that floor. Ever. The next night, I asked Reggie, one of the janitors who's been around since the 90s, about the 4th floor. He just shook his head and said, I asked, "What happened?" Reggie looked down at his mop bucket. I hadn't noticed before, but the window I kept seeing the man in. Yeah, it lines up perfectly with 403. After Reggie told me about 403, I started avoiding the window. Even when I felt that itch in the back of my mind, that sick curiosity, I refused to look, because some part of me already knew he'd be closer. But of course, I looked. It was around 2 a.m. I was dropping off paperwork near the psych unit, walking the same corridor. And as I passed that damn window, something made me glance up. And there he was, closer, not behind the glass this time, inside the room, but deeper into the shadows, still, staring. And he was smiling. Not a normal smile, not even human, honestly. His mouth looked too wide, like his skin was stretching to keep it together. His lips were dry and cracked. It looked painful, like the smile was holding his face in place. And I swear to God. He raised his hand and waved. I stumbled back, knocked over the med cart, and dropped half a tray of supplies. One of the boxes clattered across the floor and echoed through the hall. My chest was tight, hands shaking. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. I rushed back to the nurse's station, pulled up the security feed. But of course, the cameras on the 4th floor were still dead. The next night, I did something stupid. I waited until my shift was almost over. The halls were quiet, bare. I took the service stairs. The elevator doesn't even register the 4th floor, just skips it like it doesn't exist. The stairwell door was locked with a cheap padlock. Took me a paperclip and 5 shaky minutes to pop it open. The second I stepped onto that floor, the air changed. It was warm, thick, and still. Like walking into a sealed room after a fire. The lights above were dim and flickering. Most of the doors were shut and taped up with faded signs that read, "Restricted" or "Do not enter," except for one. Room 403. The door was slightly open. No tape, no signs, no light. Just waiting. I don't know what I expected to find. An empty bed? Dust and mold? But when I pushed the door open to 403, it wasn't abandoned. Not completely. The lights inside were on. A single fluorescent ceiling bulb, buzzing, flickering. The walls were lined with old equipment, a rusted heart monitor, an overturned IV stand, and a chair. One of those old wooden hospital chairs with wheels on the back, facing the window, and sitting in it, him, the old man. Same pale skin, same sunken eyes, except now I could see him clearly. His skin was so thin I could see the blue veins underneath. His hospital gown was clean, too clean, starched, pressed. His head was tilted toward the window, but I could feel that he knew I was behind him. I didn't want to breathe. My hands were shaking, cold sweat dripping down my neck. My whole body told me to run. And then slowly, he turned his head. That same stretched smile peeled across his face, only now it was trembling, like it took effort. His eyes didn't blink. They just stared, and then he said it, in a voice dry as dust, barely more than a whisper. I couldn't move. I swear my knees locked. Every part of me was screaming, but I was frozen. And then, something moved behind him. Just a flicker, a shift in the shadows, like someone else was in the room, crouching low, crawling. The lights blinked, twice, and when they came back on, the chair was empty, but the door behind me creaked, slowly, closing. I spun around. The door was half closed, moving slow, like someone had pushed it with just a finger. There was no wind, no one visible. But I wasn't alone in that room. Something was breathing. Not me. Not shallow or panicked like mine. It was deep, heavy, like lungs that hadn't worked in decades suddenly decided to wake up. I backed away from the chair. My foot stepped on something. A syringe, maybe. It cracked loud under my shoe. The breathing stopped. And then I heard it. A whisper. It didn't come from the chair. It came from behind the bed. I didn't wait to find out. I ran. Slammed into the door so hard it rebounded off the wall. I flew into the hallway, scraping my shoulder against the rusted edge of the doorframe. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see what might be following me. The hallway lights were dead now. The only glow came from the exit sign at the far end. I sprinted. But the moment I reached the stairwell, I realized something was wrong. The stairs were gone. I mean it. The door opened, and there was just blackness. No floor, no steps, just a drop. I turned, heart hammering, and took the corridor in the other direction, searching for anything that made sense. That's when I saw it. Room 403. Again. Same room. Same number on the door, but I had just left it. I had run the opposite direction. And yet, there it was. Open. Inside, the chair was empty. But the window? Now it was me standing there, staring down at the third floor. Only I wasn't moving. I wasn't blinking. It was me, but not me. I don't remember getting out. I don't remember the stairs returning, or the door opening, or even running. I just woke up in the staff lounge, face down on the couch, cold coffee next to me. At first I thought maybe I'd dreamed it all. Sleep-deprived hallucination. I even laughed. One of those shaky, hollow laughs you give yourself when you're desperate for normal. But then I noticed something. My badge. It was clipped to my shirt. But the name wasn't mine. The photo was. But the name under it said, 403's patient file. The one who jumped. The one Reggie told me about. I stood up, heart racing, and checked my locker. Empty. Like I'd never been there. I went to the front desk to talk to Sarah, our admin on night shift. She looked up and smiled politely. Sir? Sarah, it's me. I stopped. She didn't recognize me. Not even a flicker of recognition in her eyes. Visitors aren't allowed past this point, sir, she said gently. Security will escort you out. I looked down at myself. Same scrubs, same shoes. But everything felt wrong. Even my reflection in the hallway mirror looked off. Pale, tight around the edges, like my skin didn't fit right anymore. And then, as I was being led toward the main exit, I turned, looked up toward the window on the 4th floor, and I saw myself, still standing there. watching, smiling. They moved me to a different floor, and nothing made sense there. I'd been working nights at St. Mercy General for a little over a year when they moved me to the 7th floor. No warning, just a memo in my locker. Effective this week, night staff rotation will include level 7. Report at 10:00 p.m. I didn't think much of it at first. I mean, sure, I'd never actually been up there, but I figured it was just another long hallway full of overworked nurses and dying fluorescent lights. Same ghosts, different floor. But the moment I stepped off the elevator that first night, I knew something was wrong. The air felt wrong. Thick. Like the ventilation didn't quite reach this level. It was cold, but not the kind of cold you feel on your skin. It was inside me, and it was dead quiet. No monitors beeping. No wheelchairs squeaking. Just that heavy kind of silence you hear in basements. Except, this was the top floor. I found the nurse's station. It was fully set up, charts, computer, coffee mug still warm, but no one was there. No staff, no patients, just me. I called down to admin. They said, I asked who else was working the floor. There was a pause. Then, around midnight, I started hearing them. Doors, opening, slowly, one at a time. Not slamming, not creaking like old hinges, just the soft click of a handle turning, followed by a slow, steady push of air as the door swung open. But when I checked the rooms, empty. Every time. I thought maybe the pressure system was off. Or maybe someone else was up there with me and just hadn't clocked in. That idea actually made me feel better. I wanted it to be a mistake. Something normal. Something human. At 12:47 a.m., I heard movement in room 717. I peeked in. Bed untouched. No patient listed. But the TV was on. Static. Loud enough to fill the whole floor. And something had been drawn on the screen with a finger. A smear. Like someone had pressed their hand into the static and dragged it down. I turned it off. Then I noticed the chair beside the bed was facing the door. Like someone had been watching me through the crack the whole time I stood there. That's when the lights down the hall flickered. Just for a second. And in that second, I swear, I saw someone standing at the end of the hallway, not moving, not walking, just waiting. When the lights came back, the hallway was empty, and my radio crackled to life. I walked slowly towards 714, radio still crackling with static. The hallway felt longer than it should have. Or maybe I was just moving slower. My legs were heavy, like the air was thicker near that door. When I got there, I tried the handle. Locked. That didn't make sense. I was told to stay near the room, but no one said it'd be sealed. I knocked once, quietly. No response. I leaned close, pressing my ear to the wood. And then I heard it. Breathing. Slow. Wet. Heavy, right on the other side. And then, a voice. Muffled. Male. I jumped back so fast I hit the opposite wall. My heart was going nuts, that electric panic that floods your chest like cold water. I radioed admin. A pause. Then, I stared at the door. My fingers were trembling. Admin replied fast, but no one came. For over an hour, I waited. Nothing. Just that door. Just that feeling. Then, at 2:03 a.m., I looked away for 1 second. Just a second. And when I turned back, the door was open. Not all the way, just a few inches. Enough to see part of the bed inside. And the edge of a white hospital gown. Someone sitting on the edge, staring at the floor. I should have waited. I should have called security, stepped away, done anything but what I did. But the door was open. And whoever was inside was just sitting there. Still. Silent. Like they were waiting for me. So I stepped in. The room smelled old. Not dirty. Old. Like furniture covered for years in a house no one lived in. The light overhead was flickering just enough to cast shadows that moved when nothing else did. The figure on the bed didn't look up. White gown, back hunched, bare feet just touching the floor. I cleared my throat. No answer. I took one step closer. The light above buzzed louder. Another step. Now I could see that his hands were folded tightly in his lap. His fingers were gray like the blood had settled in them. And then, he moved. Not slowly, not gradually. Just snapped his head upward. His face, it was mine, paler, hollow, like someone had stretched my face over a skull too big for it. The eyes were wrong, wider, black around the edges, like the light didn't reach into them. He smiled, not like me, and said, "The lights went out. Total black." I backed toward the door, fast, heart slamming. I reached behind me, grabbed the handle. Gone. Nothing. Just wall. And the breathing started again. Not in front of me. Behind me. Close. Then, a whisper at my ear. I don't remember blacking out. Just a cold feeling spreading through my chest. Like something reached inside and pressed pause on everything that made me real. When I came to, I was back at the nurse's station. Lights on. Floor quiet. Like nothing had happened. My shift was ending. The next nurse was walking in. She smiled and asked. I couldn't answer. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking. Cold, but not sweaty. Not warm at all. Like they hadn't been alive for hours. I left without saying much. Drove home on autopilot. Slept for nearly 16 hours straight. When I woke up, there was a key card on my nightstand. Not mine. It had the hospital's logo, sure, but the name printed on it wasn't mine. It was H. Connors, the same name I saw on the chart outside room 714. Except I never looked at that chart, or maybe I did. I called the hospital, told them I was quitting. But the woman on the phone said, I tried to argue. She got quiet and asked, more silence. Then quietly, click. That night I looked out my apartment window. Just rooftops, dark sky, the glow of streetlights. But in one of the windows across the street, I swear I saw a hospital bed. And someone sitting beside it, wearing my face. The first time I got the call, it was 3:14 a.m. I was alone at the desk, scrolling through patient charts, trying to stay awake. Then the intercom buzzed, a short beep, then a voice. My body went on autopilot, grabbed the crash cart, ran down the hall. But when I got there, the bed was empty. No patient, no chart, no monitors, just a clean bed and a faint smell of antiseptic. I stood there, confused, waiting for someone else to show up. Nobody came. I called the night supervisor. He checked the records. My stomach turned. I didn't say anything. Just stood there, in that empty room, with the light flickering slightly overhead. Then I looked at the intercom panel on the wall. No dust on the button, like someone had pressed it recently. The next night, same time. 3:14 a.m. Buzz. I froze. This time I didn't grab the cart. I just stared at the intercom, heart thudding in my throat. The voice, same tone, same rhythm. Flat, emotionless. Not the usual urgency of a real code. More like a recording, or a whisper pretending to be human. I forced myself to go. Room 212 was still empty, lights off, bed made, clean and quiet. But something was different. The window blinds were drawn open. I remembered closing them the night before. I was sure of it. I stepped in. That sterile smell was stronger now, almost metallic. And when I turned to leave, I noticed it, on the whiteboard above the bed. Someone had written, no initials, no timestamp, just those words, in black dry erase marker. I rubbed it with my sleeve. It smudged like it had been written minutes ago. Back at the desk, I pulled the intercom logs. Nothing. No outgoing messages listed for room 212. That call was never made. I asked the security guy to pull the hallway footage. He said the camera outside 2.1's door had been dead since last week. Power surge, apparently. I didn't sleep that day. And at exactly 3:14 a.m. the next night, the call came again, but this time, the voice said. After that third call, I didn't answer. I just sat there, staring at the intercom, hands cold, heart racing like I'd been running. The voice had changed, same tone, same words, but off, like it was closer, like whoever said it wasn't using the system anymore. The rest of the floor was silent. Not even the usual hum from the vending machines. Just the buzzing of the ceiling lights and that impossible message echoing in my head. At 3:22 a.m., I couldn't take it. I went back to room 212. It was open this time. No one had left it that way. Inside, the temperature was wrong. Cold enough to fog the inside of my mask. And it smelled like metal and alcohol. Like a trauma room after something goes bad. I stepped in. On the bed, the shape of a body under the sheet. Not a full outline, but enough. Raised fabric, indented pillow, as if someone had just gotten up. I reached out slowly and pulled the sheet back. Nothing. Flat. Clean. But as I turned around to leave, the door slammed shut behind me. Hard. The lights went out. I was in pitch black. No flashlight, no emergency glow. And then, behind me, the creak of leather. Like someone sitting back down in the hospital bed. Then the intercom on the wall came to life again. Only this time, it didn't buzz. It whispered. I couldn't move. Something in the dark was breathing behind me. Heavy. Wet. Like lungs full of fluid trying to push air through. The sound of someone dying. Over and over and over. I backed toward the door, one step at a time, arms out like I could feel the walls. Then I touched the handle. Gone. Just smooth wall. The layout of the room had changed. I turned. The bed was gone. Now there was only a single chair in the center of the room, and someone sitting in it, head tilted, arms dangling, body twitching in slow, rhythmic spasms, like nerves firing after death. I couldn't see his face, but I knew it was him. Mr. Callahan, room 212, the patient who died that morning. The lights flickered on for half a second, and in that flash, I saw his face. His eyes were open, gray, clouded, but looking directly at me. His mouth moved. The lights snapped back off. And then, around me, monitors, beeping, alarms, the sound of a flatline. But there were no machines in that room anymore. I hit the wall, shouting, clawing for the door. Then it opened. I spilled into the hallway, gasping, collapsing to the floor. No one was around. The room behind me, empty, silent. Door wide open. Just a dry erase marker on the floor, still rolling. I filed an incident report. Said there was a power failure, audio malfunction, stress. Didn't mention the voice, or the bed, or the body that looked just like the one I helped roll to the morgue hours earlier. But I knew what I saw, what I heard. Still, I came back the next night, and the next. I avoided room 212. Never walked past it, never looked inside. But every night at 3:14 a.m., the intercom buzzed. Same voice, same words, every night. Until one night, I got bold. I unplugged the intercom system from the nurse's station. At 3:14 a.m., the lights in the hallway flickered, and the call still came through. From inside the walls, from the air, from somewhere beneath everything. I put in for a transfer, switched to the ER. Lower floors, more people, more noise. It helped for a while. But then, last week, I got home. Threw my scrubs in the laundry, found something in the pocket I know I didn't put there. A room assignment slip, time stamped 3:14 a.m. My name, patient, Callahan, H, room 212, and at the bottom, in smeared ink,